Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I apologize, my chair is really squeaky and it's really annoying me. But I am going to be making a part 3 to my general study SAT tips. So here it is. Alright guys, so the first tip is going to be try to study in the morning, because I feel like you would get used to studying, like being in the study mode or focus mode in the morning, like right around 8 a.m., exactly around the time where you would be taking the test. And the next tip would be that you guys shouldn't stress yourself out on like getting an answer wrong, especially if you've never seen the answer before. Like, when you get an answer wrong, learn from it and don't be defensive. Don't be like, oh my god, like I should have done this or blah blah blah, or like, wait, like if it's like an official SAT practice test, it's 100% right and you are 100% wrong if you got answer wrong, and that's okay. That's completely okay. You gotta tell yourself, hey, it's okay, they're wrong. I gotta understand how to approach this question from their perspective and don't put your own biases into it. Okay, the third tip is to be as flexible as you can with the way you approach a test. Sorry, there was like a bee or a fly. Anyways, yeah, be flexible with the way you approach the test. What I mean by that is that whenever you have a way to approach a question, be aware that the way you approach the question may not be the best way. It may be the way that you are used to, but again, you need to understand that it might not be the best way. And when you do find the best way, then you gotta get used to being more flexible, being more open with the idea of changing your strategy to that question or to a couple of questions or whatever. Just, yeah, be more flexible to that. Okay, the fourth tip is for people who have reached a plateau, like a score plateau, and you feel like you're not improving, and you just feel like, why am I not improving? Like, I'm studying a lot, it doesn't make sense. That's okay, it happens. Well, here, the first thing you should do is make sure that you're actually plateauing by taking the practice test or the test and giving it your all. You know, like, I mean, like, actually give it your all. Like, really try hard for that test. And if you're still plateauing, then take a break. Like, genuinely, guys, I don't care how far away the test is, take a break, because you need it. You need to relax and focus on yourself. You need a break. You've probably been studying for too much. You need a break for even for a few days. Okay, so the fifth tip is don't burn through practice tests. Don't like take 5 practice tests a week, because at the end of the day, you're not going to learn from that. You really are not. The maximum practice test you should be taking per week is 2, and I would recommend taking 1 practice test per week, but if you guys want, you can take 2 per week, if you have enough time, motivation, so on. But genuinely, you should not be exceeding the 2 practice tests per week mark, I guess. I don't know. The reason is because you wouldn't be learning from it. You wouldn't be learning from the 5 practice tests you took. You need to take a few practice tests, learn from them, analyze each question, understand why you got this question wrong and why you got this question right. Just make sure that you fully understand those 2 tests or the test that you took that week. Analyze and learn from your mistakes. So the 6th tip is don't let hard questions paralyze you, which that means, like, when we come across hard questions, we usually just stare at it for a while and we're like, I don't know how to solve this question, and you just keep staring at it trying to solve it. Guys, move on from that question. And remember the tip I gave you guys, like last video, I think I was like, if you guys come across a hard question, skip it, move on, and come back to it later on. And then if you still didn't get it, come back to it again and do that 3 times. And on the 4th time, If you still haven't gotten it yet, then that's the time to guess. So do that. And again, don't let them paralyze you. Don't let it stress you out. At the end of the day, it's just one question and you can guess. And also, again, when I said like when you keep coming back to the question, make sure to take the question one step at a time. Like read the actual question, underline important parts, really dissect the actual question, and try to understand as much as you can and take it one by one. Don't try to do 5 things all at once. Don't try to solve the actual question while reading it, if that makes sense. Yeah, or like you could read the first part of the question and try to like write that down, or like if it says like pandas are 2 times as large as koalas, make sure you write that down. Like be like 2 times pandas, 2p is equal to k, kind of thing, just to help you guys with the question. And also, you guys, staring at the question isn't going to magically help you solve the question. Try to avoid that as much as possible. Don't try to stare at the questions, get things started right away. And again, if you can't solve it, it's okay. Move on, come back to it. You might be able to solve it for the second time. But if you can't, keep trying and you will get it. And if you don't, again, it's fine. Just guess. Okay, remember when I told you guys like a few tips ago, like in this video, I said that be flexible with changing your strategy to approach each question or whatever, the test in general. Now when you find a better strategy to approach a certain question, or even like a whole test section, don't change it the day before the test or even a few days before the test. You know why? Because you didn't give yourself enough time to get used to that strategy, for your brain to process, to get used to actually get good at that particular strategy. Stick to your original strategy and move on. If it's like the day before or a few days before, stick to your normal strategy, because it's just going to confuse you and it's just stress you out, and you're going to be like, oh my god, like I should have known about this and blah blah blah. Don't stick to that strategy. And remember that you can always retake the test, so you can practice that particular strategy or technique later on. You don't need to practice it today if you're taking the test tomorrow. Speaking of which, so again, with the bubbling strategy, I don't know. How do you say strategy? Oh, I'm so frustrated. Okay, whatever. With the bubbling thing, right? When you bubble things, your strategy towards it, should be like whatever you want, actually, whatever you're comfortable with, and you shouldn't stress yourself on it too much, because here's why. It's really not that important. Like the strategy, I mean, bubbling is important, but like the actual strategy isn't that important. You know what I mean? Like I feel like people just worry about that way too much. So I recommend you guys, like for like, let's say the math section, you guys finish 2 pages. After you finish 2 pages, you're gonna bubble. So like every 2 pages, and you guys can do whatever technique, but I prefer this technique for the math section particularly, because it doesn't have like a passage where you could like bubble, whatever. But for the reading, every passage I bubble. And for the writing, actually every 3 pages, because the actual passages are really long. And also when you guys have an answer, make sure you write the letter in big capital, beautiful juicy letters. You know what I mean? Like if you for example in number 13, you're like the answer is B, make sure you circle it and write down B. You know, be like, yeah, B, this is B, okay, B. So that when you're actually doing the bubbling, you're like B, yeah. Anyways, stick with one strategy for the bubbling thing and stick with it. Like honestly, it's really not that important. You don't need to think about it too much. Now, the week before the SAT, I think we talked about the day before the SAT. Now let's talk about what you should do a week before the SAT. So first things first, don't try to do everything that week. Don't try to bring in, be like, I'm gonna do this and that and that and that, that. No. What you should be doing that week is retaking things you've already done, like redoing questions you've already done. Again, you just want to remind yourself what the test is like. If you've been studying for the past 2 months or so, the last week should just be you reviewing things. I don't know why I did quotation. Okay, I don't know why I did that. But you should be reviewing things. Yeah, do many exercises to remind you what the test is like, as well as like passages, old passages you've already done, redo them. I think this would like motivate you as well. If you see that you've actually improved, which you will most likely improve. It'll motivate you. Redo things you've already done, obviously not everything, but generally just like maybe things that you found hard before, redo them, so now you're like, oh my god, now I can actually solve that question. I'm really cool. Also, you guys, it's very important for that week, especially for the week before the SAT, please sleep for 8 hours. You need it, okay? That's like the most important thing. Sleep for 8 hours, okay? It's great for retaining things that you learned that day. So if you can, sleep for 8 hours every day, especially when you're studying for the SAT. But it is vital for you to do the week before the SAT. And also, don't come into the test thinking, oh my god, I don't know what I'm doing. Be confident. Know that you've been studying for the test for the past 2 months, or the past month, or however long you've been studying for the test. Know that you have actually studied for the test, and that you're confident, and you actually know everything on the test, and you're gonna be fine. You've done these before, you've done practice tests before. I assume you've done 1 to 2 practice tests every week, and you're gonna do fine. You're gonna do great because you know what the test is like. And also remember that it isn't really a hard test. It's more of like, if you actually studied for it, you're gonna do great kind of test. So yeah, just remind yourself that. And it's very repetitive, as I said in the last tips video. So yeah. And that leads me into my next tips. My next tip, try not to take a practice test a week before the test. I mean, like the Saturday before the Saturday of the test, because here's why. It's just gonna stress you out. I mean, a new practice test you haven't seen, you're gonna feel a little stressed out. You guys can take sections though, new sections. You could be like, yeah, I'm gonna take this section to practice, I guess. Or you could do old sections, whatever. Just don't do full practice tests, because again, that's gonna stress you out and isn't gonna help you whatsoever. So yeah, take it like 2 weeks of practice test, 2 weeks before the test. Okay guys, we actually haven't talked about the night before. I completely forgot. The night before the test. Yeah, anyways, the night before the test, I think we did talk about it, but like, I don't know. I haven't talked about what I'm gonna say. So the night before the test, the night specifically, make sure you pack all your things, all the things you need: your ID, your calculator, your watch, water, snacks, whatever, the admission ticket. Yeah, make sure you have it all the night before. So like when you wake up in the morning, you don't have to worry about packing your bag and all that stuff. So do it the night before. Now on to my last tip. This is going to be my last tip for like the general SAT tips video. So yo, this is yeah. Anyways, I recommend you guys go through walkthroughs on YouTube, like SAT practice test walkthroughs on YouTube. They're really great. You know, I feel like, and they're free too, so that's awesome. And you do learn a lot from them. I feel like watching another person, watching their process, like how they approach the question, their strategy to approaching a particular question, I think it would help you guys a lot, and it's pretty useful. So if you have enough time or if you want to do it, then yeah, watching walkthroughs on YouTube is pretty helpful. Anyways, you guys are going to do great. Remind yourself that you are going to do great and you are capable of doing great things, and I believe in you guys. So yeah, enjoy.